So I found this spot and like next to this really big rock, and then I slept there. I maybe made a fire, I think. I slept there, and then I think I climbed on those rocks that morning. Oh yeah. Then I left my bag and I went and I climbed on these really tall rocks around there. Then I almost lost my stuff, but then I found it again. And I found my way back to my car. Oh, and someone had left some baby wipes out there. That was pretty clutch. Oh my gosh. Alright, never mind. Um, I found someone's hideout when I was in Big Bend. I forgot about that. I don't know if it was abandoned, but when I went really, really far off trail, um, there was like, oh man, there was this big opening of like this not a cave, it was like a trench, or I forget what it's called. I guess a canyon. Um, and I had to go through all these bushes and these big jagged rocks. And then I was just going back. I was in that general area, and there was like some food, and like I didn't see any people, but I kind of booked it out of there because that felt sketch to me. That was super close to Mexico. That part, um, like right by the river. You could see people on the other side of the river just chilling. It's really cool. Um, and then what happened? I watched the sunset over the ridge. Oh, and then you can also watch the sunset by the hot springs if you go up this little mountain there, or just this hill. You hike all the way up to the top, and then it's a really beautiful sunset up there. I got really into finding good sunsets. So, anyways, where am I? Oh, in Mojave. Yeah, I I got back from hiking, and then I drove out to um, get some information, and then there's this area called the Devil's Playground. That was the one I was interested in. So I did a little hike. I hiked up the dune there, and I got to the top, and then I played We Are Number One on the dune. Then I went back in my car, and I think I drove back to my spot. I think that's what I did that night. I'm not 100% on that, but I think that's what I did. And then I think I may be just forgetting days here, but I think the next day I went back there and I slept. Oh, maybe it was that night. Maybe that night I slept outside my car there. I'm pretty sure that is what I did. Yeah. No, that was after. Wait, let me just think about this for a second. No, because I wasn't coming back in the dark that night. It must have been that night. Okay. So what happened that day, I played We Are Number One on the dune. As the sun was setting. Then I let it get totally black. Yeah, and then I got super lost. Because I was taking my time getting back. Yeah. Because I didn't go there 3 times. Yeah, so then I what happened? I guess I only stayed at that spot one night the first time. Unless I did something else that first day. I'm not sure, it's so hard to remember. So I also remember driving back. Yeah, because I think the first time I drove out to the Devil's Playground and then I kind of just pulled back, right? I don't know if I hiked that day or not. I don't remember. Anyways, I got lost out there at night, and then I found my way back to just like some people camping, and I asked them where the main road was, and they pointed me, and then I walked all the way back. I was so far away from where I parked. But at that point, I wasn't trying to get back to my car. I was just trying to go to where the other people were. I got my car, and I pulled up there, and then I slept outside my car. Then the next day, that was when I went back to the main lot for, not lot, but just like the parking area for the Devil's Playground, and I parked, and I made some sandwiches, and then I went out and I hiked up the dunes and down the other side of the dunes and walked around, and then I found this like spot, kind of like, it's basically this big bowl with dunes on all the sides, and then over the other dunes you can keep walking, and there's like a river really far away, but I didn't really want to do all that. So I mean, one day I want to be able to do shit like that, like just hike for forever. But I I found what looked like a nice spot, like if I went up to sort of like the dunes that were to my left, kind of on the other side, because it was sort of like a rectangle or like an oval. Like it wasn't that far across to keep going forward, but to go to the side was kind of far away, so I hiked through the bottom, and then I hiked up that other edge, and then it was revealed I could keep going higher up there, and like there was like these little spots like kind of tucked away, like you couldn't really be seen up there, and then I crossed over to the other side, to the left, and there it was so beautiful, because it was like the sand would just kind of like rise up and down, and you couldn't really see what was going to come next, because like there would just be like these kind of walls of like the sand rising, and then you would get over that part, and then you would see like all this stuff below you, but then another wall. I don't really know how to explain, but dunes can get like very intricate, and kind of like maze-like almost. Um, and so I decided to sleep over there, um, and I'd brought my sleeping bag, and and my mat, and I just put it in the sand, and um, went to sleep. I put my bag pretty far away from me, just in case anyone wanted my food. Um, and then I woke up and I hiked around there a little more. I went back, and then I went back. I actually bumped into some people that we had a mutual friend the first day I was hiking there. That was pretty cool. I smoked with them, I think. Um, then there was this asshole guy from like North Dakota. He was such a jerk. I don't even want to put him in my fucking story. Anyways, he was just like with these kids, and he was just like, he started conversation, and then when I would respond to him, he would like not respond. It was like one of these guys that just like hates, people, wants to be away from people, and it's like, well then don't go to a fucking national park where there's gonna be other people there, you fucking asshole. Like, go back to Minnesota or wherever the fuck you're from. Um, so then I got back in my car and I stayed another night there. I found another little spot and there's like all this like volcanic rock and was like hiking out on top of this stuff. Which I don't know if you were supposed to do that, but I hiked out there. Um, I was like just shitting in the ground and like digging these really shallow holes and shitting in them. Um, I was really getting into it. I had these wipes which were really nice. Then I think I left and I came back. I came back one night because I got out and I was like, well, like it's kind of like 4 hours to Vegas and 4 hours to LA, and I was like, kind of want to go to Nevada, but I don't know. It's just whatever. So I went back. I stayed another night in the desert at that same spot, that little pull off, and then which was also sort of like a trailhead, which was weird that that was sort of like a spot to stay, but there's a ring, I think, maybe. It was marked on free campsites, I think. Yeah, it must have been marked. Then the next day I drove to Los Angeles. Just hit a ton of traffic, of course. Went to a Subway there and I called some friends and then we met up and went to their place and got an Uber to some bar, some like cool bar. They're like cooking all this food and had a DJ and I don't know. There was someone just selling beer there that I think wasn't the bar, like just some dude that had beer or something. I don't know. It was strange. Um, like I don't remember exactly what happened, but we talked. It was nice, and then my friend let me crash with her, which was really sweet. I was really thankful for that, and I got to shower, which was amazing because I was so fucking dirty. Because it had been a long ass time since I had actually showered. It had been like not since Austin that I had a proper shower. I mean, I was swimming in the hot springs and stuff, but like, yeah, in Mojave, I just got so fucking dirty. Um, that was amazing. Then I left LA and I drove up into those mountains there. Where did I go? I went through like San Bernardino and like the San Bernardino National Forest, and I was just trolling around like in the woods, and I got to some weird like motel up there, and there's some little health shop, and like this dude was having this what seems like this sort of like therapy meeting with like a bunch of people there, and that sort of like wrapped up, and then I was talking to the guy, and it was like his mom's place or something, and like there was two different buildings. They were both kind of expensive, and I almost just wanted to stay in his parking lot, but it felt like I couldn't after I talked to him. And he was inviting me that there were spots to stay in, like there's a mountain community, like a holistic kind of this type of thing further up the road, but it was the middle of the night. I couldn't find that shit. So then I ended up just staying at a at a Flying J, which I also did another time, and I totally forget what that night was. That must have been after the after I got that military discount. Um, then I stayed probably it was probably in Georgia at a Flying V at a Flying Flying J Pilot, whatever those are called. That was really nice. So I stayed at one of these places. It was like that combined with a Motel 6, so I was sort of in the Motel 6 parking lot. Um, but it was really nice. Um, Slept there. Then I don't remember what happened. I drove through the woods again. Did I stay in the woods again? Did I stay in another parking lot? I was talking to my friend on the phone. I was shining my light to help some guy, like, work under his car in a parking lot, and I had to leave. I was driving around, I was kind of lost. I think I found a campground there. I think I must have found another campground up there. Oh yeah, I did. I totally did. Well, I drove down this road actually, and then I couldn't find it. Well, it was very sketchy. I got to this spot, and then there was just all these dudes like doing donuts and shit, and like it was really fucking hectic and weird. So I just pulled out of there. Um, I don't know. Those nights kind of blur together. I'm pretty sure I spent 2 days up in those woods, but I honestly don't even remember. I ended up going back uh, through LA again, and I tried to like find some good Chinese food, and I really couldn't do it. And I ended up just getting like some bubble tea and like some dumplings or some bullshit. It was like not that good. And I was east again, and then I found these spots near fucking, I don't remember. Back sort of where I was before though, like this sort of like inland Southern California desert weird places. Um, and there was this spot. I forget what the first spot was. But then I found this spot that was there were these cliffs that you could climb up, and then it was maybe like 4 hours out from LA. Oh, I drove through like Hot Springs, like the town, and like through San Bernardino, and like through all these weird California towns. It was so confusing. I don't know how I felt about any of that. But I slept at this one place, and then I woke up and I was hiking. Well, I just climbed up on those rocks and hiked up on those rocks, and then I went on my phone, and then I bought a plane ticket to Thailand. Um, then I went to this library in Mecca, California, to like. No, maybe there's where I bought the ticket. I think I found it, and then my phone was gonna die, so then I bought it there. Then I was like trying to find the bank. But before that, there was this dude keeping bees around there, and I remember just seeing that, and I didn't know what it was, so I drove back, and then I opened up the drawer, and it was filled with bees. But then all my clothes were really dirty, and I just put them in my bag, and I took like $400 out of the bank in cash so that I could convert it to bot, like cash to cash, because I thought I'd save more money that way. And then what happened? I just put my car in the like economy lot there. It's like $12 a day or something crazy. and it was like a midnight flight or something. I don't remember. I had time. I had some time. But I was on China Airlines, and then we stopped in Taipei. And I was dope because with the U.S. passport, you can stay like 3 months, no visa. Fuck, I gotta go there like right now. But you can stay there for 3 months without a visa. And I left the airport because I had like a 12, 14 hour layover or something. And it was just like the full day. So I left the airport, got on the train into the city, and got a bowl of soup for like 75 cents, and got like a bento box for like $4. You know, getting like ripped off, but like I wasn't used to Asian prices, so it was like, oh my god, how is it this cheap? Then there's like an arcade in the subway, and everyone was like, every single game was some variation of DDR, like with your hands, or like different versions of DDR with drumsticks, but it was all the same thing with like stuff scrolling on the screen and you could hit it. And kids were like wearing gloves. This dude was insane. He was so good. Then there was a store there where I think they were selling guns. And I don't know if that was real or not. But I felt like they had to be real. But I don't know. I don't know what the gun laws are in Taipei. If you can just sell a lot of guns in the subway there. The metro. But I went back and I got my flight. And I landed in Bangkok. And then what time was it? Oh, it was night, yeah. So then I slept in the Suvarnabhumi airport on the 3rd floor. Then I was right outside this like area for the monks, and I didn't know like if it was rude, like if you're lying down, what you're supposed to do, if I should still lie. I didn't. I think that was the right call. And then what happened? I had booked like a night at a hostel back in Los Angeles. I didn't know if I was gonna go there or not, but I just, I thought maybe they'd ask me about it at like immigration. They didn't give a fuck. They're just like stamp. There you go. Yeah, they didn't ask for shit. But then I went I went down to where you take the trains. I took the train like to like the second to last stop before the city, so that I could get a good exchange rate at one of what are those places called? Super something. I don't know. But the green one. And yeah, I got bought and got like a Thai tea and kind of bumped around. I walked the rest of the way into the city. It was like walking through there. There's a really dope Muslim neighborhood there, and they're like have the speaker system going through it, and the guy's going, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And I got some good food there. And then I crossed the bridge over the river, and then it was super dark, and I was kind of trying to ask people for directions, how to get to this hostel, and like It's really tough. I got a map at a hotel there. It was nice. Um, Earlier in the day. And yeah, I was able to find this place, hostel, whatever. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this it's really boring to talk about Thailand. Um, I don't know. I might have to fast forward if anything interesting happened when I was here. I don't know. Thailand is just really it's a much easier place to live as an American than America. Um, and everyone's incredibly friendly, and everything's really cheap, and the food's really good, and the weather's nice, and it's pretty, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I stayed in Bangkok a couple days. Then I took a bus to Kanchanaburi and met someone there in the 7-Eleven, and her boyfriend had this bar, and so then I was like hanging out there, um, and kind of moving around different hostels and guest houses there, for like 4 or 5 days, meeting some people and getting food. Um, then I got like this bus to Chiang Mai, and yeah, I was in Chiang Mai for a few days. Went to Pai, and back to Chiang Mai, and back to Pai. Um, yeah, I don't know. Back to Chiang Mai. Um, I guess when I was in Pai the second time, or no, it was maybe earlier that I heard about the rainbow was gonna be in Bali. Well, I heard it was in Bali. It was in Java, but I heard it was in Bali. And there was some girl I met who was gonna be in Indonesia. And I've always wanted to go to Indonesia, more than Thailand actually. Um, and I could get an India visa there, so that was another thing. So I went to I bought a flight from Bangkok to Bali, and then that went through Brunei. So I got a bus to Bangkok, and then I went to the airport, and it was bullshit there because they really wanted me to like verify that I was leaving. So I got a like fly onward ticket, and then like that was bullshit because they called the airline and they didn't have confirmation. So then I just bought a ticket to Singapore. And I went up to the Tiger Airlines people and I was telling this woman my situation. She was like super sympathetic, but she couldn't help me. Felt bad. Um, but I got a cheap ticket to Singapore, and then I was able to board my flight. And then I stopped in Brunei, was there for a couple hours, just in the airport. I don't know what my visa is for there, if I could have left or not, but I only had a couple hours. Um, then I got to Denpasar, and uh, well, the airport's really in Kuta actually, but I I got an Uber, and the dude like wanted fucking Indonesians. Fucking bullshit. He he had me like pay him cash, like brought me to some sketchy ass like place like a couple blocks away that wasn't where I was going at all. It was a little bit scary, but he eventually brought me to. I had someone on couch surfing because I figured out how to do it. So I he finally brought me to the place. Super nice dude, um, and stayed with him and his wife a couple nights, and he helps me like prepare for my India visa. We were like going to the beach, see the sunset, getting food, and it's really nice. I was telling them about the rainbow, um, and then I hitchhiked to Denpasar, um, and gave them some bananas. I helped this guy, they had banana trees in their yard, so I helped them harvest these bananas, and then they had so many bananas, so I had some with me. I gave some to the guys who were kind enough to give me the ride to the bus station. Um, and the bus was it was like a 24-hour bus ride to Tulungagung, which was a town that was maybe 2 hours away from the beach where the rainbow was this year, the international rainbow. And so I got to the bus station and I got super ripped off on the ticket, um, and then met a troop of some other people going to the rainbow that had met like the day before, or some of them actually knew each other from earlier, and wasn't super social with them. Kind of talked a little with one or two of them, and was passing around my notebook with them. We were like writing a story together, and yeah, joking with them a little bit. And then what happened? Oh, so then the bus goes onto a ferry, obviously, to bring you over to Java, and then it keeps going. Got dinner, and uh, well, dinner. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, but that's where they stop. Um, Indonesian buses are fun because they blast this like Balinese pop music like all night. They start playing it when it gets late, and they like have the lights on, and it's just ridiculous. Like no one is really into that, but um, so they're blasting this music. A bunch of people got their shit stolen who I was traveling with, off the bus, and we got to Tulungagung, and it was the morning, actually, by the time we got there. It was the next morning. Maybe it was an 18-hour ride or 20 hours or something like that. Maybe the bus left at noon and then got there at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Um, but anyways, we were hanging out at the bus station, someone got some food. Then we kind of posted up at like this little coffee shop, and we were just like hanging out there all day. And this one guy was working out, like, because they had lots of volunteers from Tulungagung helping out with the rainbow. I don't know how they organize those things, but, they have to work it out with the mayor and stuff, because they had, like, hundreds of people on this beach for a month, and, I guess it does bring business to the town, so I can understand that, but it's cool how that can happen, I guess. Um, Holy shit. So then I went out with this guy there to get instruments. He bought a guitar, and I also bought a guitar. And we met some guy there he had like a music rehearsal space, but he knew about like the instrument shop. And then I got separated from him because I stopped at some coffee shop and the dude didn't want to take both of us on the back of his bike, so I was just hanging out there and I was talking with some police officer. And then it was a while and they weren't coming back, so I was like trying to ask him about like finding them, and like he didn't speak any English, so I was trying to use Google Translate, and he had his phone just had like all this porn that he was searching and watching on it. But uh, he was super helpful. He was like giving me tea, giving me like rice and shit. And then the dudes eventually came back. Um, I got my guitar and went back and we were hanging out. Um, and yeah, eventually this dude came with a truck and was able to bring us all down to where the footpath is to the beach. Um, so we got a ride and we paid him, and then there was some drama because they didn't know that we had to pay and some bullshit. And I didn't give a fuck. Then I was just so happy to have a guitar. I was playing guitar, and we were outside some guy's house there who was volunteering. And then we walked. It's like a few kilometers to hike to the beach from there, and it's this like muddy, narrow little path, and so and it was already night at that point. I don't know how late it was, but we're hiking, and it's like, these big hills you're hiking over. We couldn't really see anything. It's fucking gorgeous, but I couldn't see anything. Then eventually we got to this little visitor center, and this guy was that they had set up, and this guy was telling us about the rainbow, how everyone had like staff, and we and how you can't swim there because like it's this really steep drop off, and they had to rescue a couple people. Um, and then it wasn't too much further to get down to camp. And then I set up my tent. Oh, I bought a tent that day too. Oh, what? Oh yeah, other people went out to buy tents, so I left them some money and they bought me a tent. So I had my tent. Yeah, and slept, and it wasn't the best sleep, to be honest. And then woke up and, I went to the beach. Oh, I met this girl there. She was really sweet. I don't know her name. Forget where she was from. But she was really nice. Um, and we were talking, and I found like half a coconut shell, and I think I found a spoon too. Yeah. Somewhere else. And then got food. We're eating. Got some soup and rice, and uh, you know, hung out. I don't remember. Oh, I saw my friend there from Chiang Mai. That was nice. What else happened? I don't remember. I think just hung out with people more. Oh, I went out hiking up the mountains there, and then I just bumped into some guy, some Indonesian dude, and he just gave me a bunch of bananas, so I brought back this huge thing of bananas and brought it to the kitchen. And then I don't really remember what I did that day. I probably wrote and hung out, chilled, played guitar. Then had dinner. I only stayed there like 2 days, I think. Next day, I went out this one morning and we were cutting down some trees to like build shit with. So we're doing that and bringing them back. And there's this dude I didn't like. Just like going on and on about like how he was helping like heroin addicts in Canada, and just had this really negative attitude, and like it's just like totally ignoring me. Like there were three of us and he was just talking to the other guy.